Now, when I say the Black Ninja is surprisingly good, I've had some people comment on the channel that I overdo it, and I say, "Oh, it's this or it's that," and then they respond, "Oh, it's not that good. It's a cheap bike. It's this, it's that." Well, again, I put this to the test. I went to some track days with the bike. You can see all the blue tape on it before I did the restoration, and it was a great street bike at the time, but I figured if I don't put it to the test now, what's the point after I do all the paint work, 500 hours of paint work on it? It wouldn't be worth it. So one of the things I did, Luciano and I, of course, Najat came out that day, and Bob Navola came out that day. He's in this little set of pictures. But we went and put a real track day on this, and I was shocked how good the bike was. And I actually had people come up after where we were in the pits, of course, hanging out, and ask me, "What did I do? What did I do? What's the secret formula to the bike?" Oh. And I was laughing because the one guy that asked had an SV650, and he thought I had some kind of secret stuff. And I said, "It's a stock bike. I don't know. I don't know either. Maybe he wasn't that good of a rider. I don't know. And I know I'm not that good. But we had so much fun. And this was a day to remember. The late Bob Navola, God bless his soul. We had a day with Najat and Luciano and everybody, Luciano's friends, a day to remember. Now, we've been really lucky about getting a lot of riding while it's really been cold. It's getting colder by the day, too. I don't know when this is going to end. But again, I like to ride this pony right to the end of the race. Get every ride I can before they salt the roads. Once they salt the roads, not quite as much fun. Anyway, we're going to get the bike ready. I see there's still a few flowers in the garden. I'll pick Karen some flowers, have a couple extra cup of coffee, and get out on the open road. But step one, as it is every day in this tiny garage, crowded. Got to move some motorcycles around, get the bike pre-flighted. And while I'm pre-flighting the bike and moving everything around here, I always think about the difference between the old bikes and the new bikes, and I do like riding them both. The maintenance, I'm pretty fanatical about keeping the back wheel clean, keeping the chain lubed, checking things, the tire pressure. And I've managed to influence a few other people in my circle of friends that that's a good idea. And if you like to play Russian roulette, that's perfectly okay. We can still be friends. But for me, pre-flighting a bike, it almost goes without saying, I do it every time. And as I always do when I get the bikes ready, I try to think, 42-year-old bike, 15-year-old bike. A lot of things have gotten better over the years, but there's always that nostalgia factor of the older bikes. And that's what I try to accomplish with my humble collection of one bike every 10 years, is that every time I ride a bike, it would be different than the day before. It wouldn't be like Groundhog Day. And I know not everybody appreciates that. It also adds to your riding skill when you don't get locked into one bike at one, well, I don't know, one riding position, whatever, one brake feel. You're constantly updating the data in your database in your mind. I think it adds to your riding skill. But riding skill is really not the whole thing here. I want to ride a clean bike. Not only ride it as well as I can, as safe as I can, I want it to be clean. And we still got a few weeks left. There's still a few flowers, there's still a few riding days left. I want to make sure I don't miss one. Picking Karen flowers in the morning before a ride, one thing I enjoy, I just love having fresh flowers in the house. And it is a beautiful cold day, projected to maybe even get into the 50s by lunchtime. A beautiful day, and let's ride. Now, there's been a lot of bikes that I've bought and sold and had over the years, and I've had a lot of bikes in my lifetime. that have been disappointing. I dreamed that they were going to be much different than they were, more comfortable, faster, slower, have better this or better that, but they've always disappointed me. This is one bike that surprised me. When Rob got this bike originally and I rode it for the first time, I said, whoa, is this thing a sleeper? Holy mackerel. And it's the handling that makes it just a little bit better than the rest. And it's the good handling combined with the fact it has a nice linear throttle response. It has really, really smooth power delivery. And it's got a sound that you can go through these populated areas and not attract any attention. And once the road opens up, it sounds like an Indy car. One of the lessons I learned early in life is don't spend a whole winter and hundreds of hours restoring a bike you don't have at least 1 year of riding on, so you really get to know if you like it or you don't like it before you spend the time and energy. Another surprise I had with this bike is I thought after a year or two it was going to get to be kind of hum and mundane. It never did. It just keeps getting better and better the more years of riding I have on it. And with the Michelin 6s on it now, I just can't explain. It's really a good handling bike. And my good friend Guy, he did a really, really smart thing. Before he put a lot of time and energy into refinishing and customizing his Triumph track bike and powder coating parts and wheels and swing arms, he rode the bike for a year, went to several track days, got to see if he really liked it. Is this going to be the bike that suits him well? And if you spent all that time ahead of time and then found out, oh, this is not the bike for me, it's kind of a waste. It's kind of like getting a horse ahead of the cart. I didn't fall for that trick when it came to this bike. I made sure I really loved it before I spent that time to do this over. And the patience really paid off in the end, because after I was done with the customizing features I wanted, I had a bike I was comfortable with, and I'm going to have it for the rest of my life. Now, I always try to take at some part of a ride and just relax. I enjoy going through the gears. I enjoy looking at the scenery. I enjoy just sitting back and enjoying the scenery in these little backwood back roads. It's all fun, it's all good, and this bike does all of these things pretty well. Now, some of my friends disagree, but I always think the hardest thing of all with a motorcycle is design it in such a way that it does a lot of things well. It doesn't do just one thing. It's a multi-dimensional bike. It takes, in this case, it's comfortable. It's low maintenance. It doesn't eat tires up. It doesn't require very expensive maintenance at a dealer. It has so many things going for it. But the biggest thing of all is you just get on the bike, go through the gears, and it's just fun to ride. It's not a hassle to go out on a ride. And some bikes even that I've had in the past, as the day is worn on, they start feeling heavier and more work to ride. This bike is always like a sports car. And what makes it special is the handling. What makes it great on the back roads. Roads can be a little slippery. Leaves can be falling. They can already have salted the roads. And the bike just doesn't seem to get affected by it. Not all bikes are like that. Some bikes get a little antsy when they don't have good, perfect traction. And then, of course, when this bike has perfect road traction, warm, clean streets, it's really even more fun. But you get a lot of possibilities for a day's riding in the saddle, and no matter where you ride it, it is always fun to ride. And after 39,000 miles, there's not one thing about the bike that's been a problem. It certainly hasn't needed any maintenance at all. And an engine is like a brand new engine. Now, one of the things on the back roads you always have to be aware of: garbage trucks, pickup trucks, landscapers, deer running out in front of you. It's always exciting. And what I always say about this bike in particular, if you don't print your own money, if your budget is not unlimited, or if you just want to have more bikes for the same amount of money, this is a good bike to add to your collection. And you'll probably want to ride it more than you imagine. Now every day it's just been getting a little bit cooler. There's not many leaves left on the trees. And I've been going out later and later in the day trying to get the warmest part of the day. But sooner or later, it gets really brutal here. And then they salt the roads. And that, in this part of the country, this bike has one thing going for it. You can't believe how convenient it is. It's very easy to clean. When you ride on salted roads, it's a very easy bike to get the salt off. And Karen's already got the coffee on, and it'll be a relatively simple job to clean up the bike. Well, it was cold today, colder than I thought it would be. But as always, being out on the open road, always a whole lot better than being on Rikers Island. Hope that doesn't offend anybody. Maybe you have some reason to be offended, I don't know. I'm not offended, and I'm not in Rikers Island. But this was a great day, and hope you enjoyed sharing it with us. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please hit the like button if you did, and thank you so much for watching.